champions left open, that's for sure.
Exactly. I mean, the Zoe would be left available to first pick. Didn't work out for BDD.
Now I want to see Zoe versus BDD's Aurelia. Chovy on Zoe, unkilled in 4 games, takes on BDD. I think BDD would take the reverse matchup. He's a great Aurelia player.
Yeah.
If you win both sides of this matchup, I think the ecstasy may never end, and we're going to get it. The Craigasm moment. Lock it in, baby.
Do it, please.
It's BDD. All we want. Give it to us.
I mean, you're going to see some highlights of Chovy's Zoe. It is off the charts. He still has not died in 4 games. He's 4-0, and he hasn't died a single time. With the help of Sword, I remember this team fight where he was just going 2v4 essentially with the help, and they're going to take the Mundo away from Sword this time around, at least. The reverse matchup on BDD. Just Chovy things happening here. Now, Mundo does really well into Zoe as the game goes on. So this Mundo is going to have a role when Khan gets there. If Khan gets there, I guess we should say, given that Game 1 ended before then. So we know what's going to happen there. Now, we mentioned this in the Game 1 Champ Select. If you take Trundle, you know that Peanut's going to come hunting. He's hunting with the Nidalee. Now we have a different proposition for Griffin as Kingzone are drafting much more formidably on the red side. I said it halfway through Game 1. I said Kingzone, they are not just going to sit back and be embarrassed like this. They're going to go back to the drawing board, redo the draft, and figure out what went wrong and put up a real fight for Game 2. Maybe caught a little bit off guard in Game 1, but I think Game 2 should be a lot more competitive. What the bot lane meta is going to look like, because Viper's last 5 games now, GP bot lane, Aurelia bot lane, Kai'Sa mid lane funneling, Taliyah in the duo lane, bot lane, and now Morgana. So this guy actually plays everything at every champion, so we'll see what the team needs. Damage seems to be what he needs to play. I was thinking of the Yasuo, but it is banned on the red side. Papa Smithy Poggers! Love you, man. Thank you very much. I'm a big fan. I wonder what chat will say to this. I have no idea, actually. A lot of different responses you can have to assign that complex. A nuanced discussion, no doubt, happening in Twitch chat. Speaking of nuanced discussions, Morgana's banned, so Rakan finds a safer spot to be put in. Remember, Rakan was looked over in game number 1 because of the fact that the Morgana was already locked in. We think it's Shen support. What's happening bot lane? Seems like Viper's jumping on the Vladimir. That was a quick one. Thought about it for a bit and then insta-locked it. Feels comfortable in general. We don't know who's going to be down in the bot lane with the Rakan. Aatrox is up, and you know, reverse matchups are always interesting to see. What are we going to do top lane here? Is the question. So it's another way to go. We're going to see the Darius into the Mundo. I guess when you see a pylon comp like Aurelia, Mundo, and Rakan in melee range, maybe Darius getting a pentakill is something you think of. Final pick is safety. It's going to be the Ezreal, sees the Vladimir, and we'll go from there. Another unique champion in a row. He's played Vladimir earlier in the season, but when it comes to the last 5 games, first visit to the Vladimir. See how things go here for the side of Griffin. I think Kingzone have a much stronger draft than they did in game number 1. Nidalee is unleashed onto the Trundle. Very good matchup. Can't disengage with the pillar because if she hits the Q, target leap over it and a lot of mobility to get around it. Gorilla on engage this time, and he certainly has a Zoe to engage on very freely. A lot of scaling also for the team fight here from the side of Kingzone. But Griffin, if they hit timings, can still be powerful, and we all know late game Vladimir can win a game off his own back. We've seen Vladimir and Darius together just rip through teams, and if you have the help of Zoe to initiate and burst someone down, and some extra CC, the game can be opened. I wholeheartedly agree with you. I think Kingzone coming here, they draft so much better in game number 2, and they pick stuff that is just super hype, right? The reverse matchup in the mid lane. Prey undefeated so far in Summer, 5-0 on the Ezreal that I was calling for. Peanut 3-0 on the Nidalee, wants to get on that pick, and if they lose with this one, I don't know what to tell them. I mean, Griffin would just be cheering their hearts out after that. I think it has to be a map macro. I think we have to understand why the Trundle priority was so high here from Tarzan. He's taken Trundle. He had to know the Nidalee was very likely to come out, and playing around how much of an invading and dueling advantage the Nidalee has over Trundle. Tarzan's done it before, but doing it against Peanut's Nidalee is a different proposition. Sky hasn't lost much on the Nidalee. Certainly going to be a highlight matchup there in the jungle and in the mid lane. And guys, the countdown has started. Let's jump into game number 2, Kingzone versus Griffin.
협곡에 오신 것을 환영합니다.
They finally all got behind the one fangirl that's leading the charge. There was one guy still trying to jump in there on the fan cheering, but
hey, if Griffin become the organized chaos team, I think they'll take it because there's
wow.
He's actually just tapping his hand on a basketball that's suspended. Can we get a pause? That's not actually real.
This is a very unrealistic game, right? I don't know what the hell that was.
That is some BS right there. Like, how did that even? A ball? What? Where is gravity?
If you don't have gravity in a game like this, I mean, what are you even doing with yourself?
Well, now I'm sad. You know, gravity's been broken. Maybe the order of the league will be broken as well. Looking into the runes here, it's another Predator, Vladimir. Okay, so usually in the duo lane, we see Electrocute, just for the ability to pull off a pretty strong all-in at level 2 or something like that. Instead, we see the Predator, so he's much more about getting the flank on as the team fights start. Who am I to question Viper, who's been so good on such a wide array of champions? Tarzan gets a leash. Peanut will know exactly which side of the jungle the enemy jungle started on, as the timing into bot lane gives it away. And now we get the reverse matchup we called for. The power pick on the Zoe, BDD taking the Aurelia. We saw Chovy have a day out in game number 1. If he has a day out again, what does it mean for mid lane power rankings? Because that would be a story in and of itself.
It's a big story, too, because you were talking about, right, Ambition versus Faker, how it changed stuff. Going to be a missed stun there from BDD, but BDD was coming in and everybody was super hyped about him. There was a lot of talk about him as well. He came in and he very comfortably secured himself the second tier spot. You know, right behind Faker, he was number 2 in terms of the best mid laners in the world, and that was a pretty, you know, that was a pretty solid ranking, I'd say. There were times where he even looked better than Faker on certain days.
Sure, spring season especially.
Yeah.
Faker had a pretty poor season, and BDD was very good.
And then you look at Chovy, if he comes in here and he dumpsters BDD, what does that even mean, right?
I think we have to say that about a lot of variables in this particular matchup. Obviously, people will have a lot of things to say about Griffin as a team if they're able to 2-0. But a lot of people stepping up. And for Griffin, if you didn't follow them in Challenger, Rather was playing because for the majority of Challenger Spring, Chovy wasn't old enough to play. He only became eligible to play in mid-March when he turned 17. Viper casually steps forward on Gorilla. And now Gorilla's in trouble.
Oh boy, he went a little bit too far. He flashes away, but this should be the first blood. The last tick will go over on the Ignite, but the flash forward looking for Viper. He is going to be able to follow it up. Prey punishing them for that. Now we got Peanut hanging around the bottom side looking for a spear.
Big misplay from Viper. Didn't need to go in, didn't have pull. He's only level 2. Teleport to get back into lane though, and Gorilla doesn't. He has to walk back, but you'll take the 1-for-1, you'll take the first blood. The sidestep forward, that was great.
Viper's played against, you know, maybe 1 or 2 Rakans in his time. I'm sure he knows what he's doing in this matchup.
But again, for Griffin in Challenger, their big weakness was mid lane. Rather, their starter in a lot of their matches in game 1s earlier this season. Older player, likes to play utility, Galio, facilitator champions. Definitely on the mechanical side, he would struggle in a lot of matchups. Peanut decides to waste some mana. Now they've got Chovy, who is very good mechanically and seems to be picking up the team game and the macro side alongside some of his teammates. And that shows up a big weakness for them in spring season.
Take a look here, the charge step Q on the Vladimir, as well as the stun after sidestepping the Rakan engage. Was going to do it, but then the flash forward from Viper as he's tanking minions, tanking prey.
I mean, the Hens had flash. I guess Viper really wanted the kill, so awkwardly doesn't get the kill and wastes his flash and dies. So not the best look for him, but not going to decide the game. It was after they got first blood.
Casual cooldown boots in the bottom side. Gives him a lot more movement speed to deal with Ezreal Qs, to deal with Rakan engages as well. He can do a lot more sidestepping with that itemization.
And just cooldown reduction, a great stat on Vladimir. So obviously feels really good about it. Helps his laning phase pre-level 7 when we all know he starts pressing Q on you quite a lot. Such as Vladimir. Sheen is the very standard itemization if you're facing a lot of these bot lane mages and bruisers and all sorts of fun. And I know in Korean solo queue, it's actually very sad. There's no bugs there. In Korean solo queue, it is basically complete freedom to play whatever you want in any lane. Going for early Sheen gives you some trading options, and early Vamp Scepter into play the Ruin King on champions like Lucian gives you the Stain options. There's two different ways to deal with the new meta in bot.
They were able to spot Tarzan coming into the bottom side on a ward this time around, but take a look at Peanut's positioning. Level 6 hit here by BDD. Let's see if they decide to go in onto Chovy.
Only one aggressive ward was on Nidalee's Raptors, so I'm sure Chovy has a lot of information here. Casually walks away from the sauntering spear coming through from the Nidalee. It's a bit of a punishing lane. In a duo lane against double ranged, Lehens can only all in, so it doesn't have a lot of lane presence on the Shen. And Vladimir's laning phase is actually not good in a duo lane because he's a very level-centric champion. He's item and level-centric, so in a duo lane, kind of needs his support to do the heavy lifting, and that's the opposite of what Shen does, is nice sidesteps in mid.
These two mid laners are so ridiculously good. Just the way that they trade is something you cannot see on a normal day, and it's kind of unfortunate. You remember the targeted streams that Riot always puts on.
Riot Games,
Worlds,
if
right?
LCK2 was the mid lane matchup.
Like, can we just get one for this game, like for this matchup?
No.
Maybe for the playoffs.
Maybe. I don't want to promise anything. I'm going to guess almost certainly no.
Well, there you go. The official word is in from Papa Smithy.
I have absolutely no control apart from being able to make an appeal. Hey, I got them to fix the game and increase the Elder Dragon stacking, so who knows?
That's something. Look at this. Peanut one step ahead of the game. Trying to engage onto Sword and bait him in, but here comes Tarzan, the ultimate. Oh, the spear goes wide. Peanut, now they're actually flashing in, and Peanut is not tanky at all. He's bleeding down, and he should go down to Tarzan. And now Khan, they've got themselves into a horrible position. A double kill for Tarzan on the Trundle.
And when you're seeing this matchup, you're seeing Kingzone on this stage get nervous, make mistakes they don't usually. Peanut's already missed a stationary Scuttle Crab, and also someone who had no idea he was in the top side. They get the 2 for 0, and the sinking feeling for Kingzone DragonX. That lifeboat is running out of holes to plug. I think there's too many holes, Valdez.
It's definitely one of the ways they should feel. Oh, we haven't engaged in the mid lane, but the exhaust comes in. Looking for it, and he gets it, but it's going to be a 1-for-1. As both of them were incredibly low. You note the exhaust that was taken by Chovy, no ignite, so he respects the Irelia and the engage underneath the turret, but at least he's able to trade back the kill.
And we want a close series, so a 1-for-1 in the reverse matchup, skill matchup in the mid lane is absolutely awesome to see. More of the mid lane, please, SpoTV Observer. I know he's only listening to Korean casters, but damn it, seeing some cool stuff in mid. Small CS lead, but ranged auto attacker usually manages for that. Tarzan's bot side.
Gorilla just playing with it. Trying to engage here, though the Hema plate comes down.
This is it.
Not quite able to get that damage on into everyone. And that does mean that Gorilla and Prey will be able to get away.
Looking at that replay, they were both full health before they started. That's the best part of this.
I love the trouble bubble it's buffered right before he gets stunned, and then the dive, the exhaust is right on top of it. Tries to use his flash to get away, and dies to ignite. And here we go again. Actually, the pillar denies BDD from getting too far away. It looks like he might still get away. Trouble bubble comes in down on the wall from the blue, and well, nobody is going to go down, but it was very close.
Gorilla has his flash. Chovy used flash, and BDD did not on the dive. That's why he had his flash open that time. That was the extra resource used by BDD. Again, this should scale into a very good laning matchup for Irelia. Taking down turrets and increasing the pace of the game is usually the best way to stop that from being pretty dominantly Irelia focused on the all-in. Sword has the advantage early over the Mundo, but didn't pick up any of the kills on the gank. So while he's once again gone Executioner's Calling into a... We're expecting a Trinity Force. Not 100% clear, but it's been Trinity Force every other time. And now at least Khan has to be respectful. It's a couple of giant spells before you're good, and well, he doesn't have his first giant spell yet.
Just that one Ruby Crystal. Still working on it. It's going to be a while before he does get there, too.
Because of the jungle skirmishing advantage, he's able to stick a double control ward, so he's not at any threat of being dived when he's weakest, which is pre-level 11. But that's at least a good news story for Kingzone and for Khan in particular. He is gathering Storm this time from Prey. And we saw Deft on the Ezreal in Series 1. He was going Scorch, which you don't see on AD carries too often, but trying to dominate lane the KT way.
Yeah, the two ones that I noticed were Peanut and Prey, both with the Gathering Storm. The interesting one on the Darius top was actually the magic shield.
The null zone, null sphere, something like that.
Something like that. From the sorcery tree. You don't see that taken too often, but at least respecting the cleavers and the Nidalee from the jungle.
One of those runes I think is undertaking because there's a lot of power for free. Any shield that's over 100 damage is huge for free. It's mid lane again.
Diving onto Chovy. This time he's not in much of a position, but he does have the stopwatch to help him out. He's going to dodge that spear, clear out the wave, so he does survive at least.
So that's another resource used. Maybe he'll have his flash and exhaust next time. It's bot lane.
Viper trying to 1v2, but in reality, just trying to survive and get away.
The little thing to talk about there is that because he goes forward, Prey is forced to arcane shift back and doesn't know if there's any allies. So that's kind of the mind game there, is if he arcane shifts forward, maybe he just kills Viper or is able to take his flash. Little laning trades that he'd love to just replay in front of the players and get their mindset on every moment, because otherwise he's just going in 1v2 and that wasn't what he wanted to do.
Yeah. Well, trying to engage now into Prey. That was very close. No Tom Kent's in this Ezreal lane as Gorilla decided to go for the Rakan instead. So you get hit by that, you might be dying. Especially without your flash.
Prey stacking interrupted. Vamp Scepter, Sheen, and also the tier. So a lot of nothing in the early itemization, waiting for that 22 to 25 minute power up. No vision on Peanut on the bot side, but Gorilla's been a lot more gun-shy on the engages on Rakan than last time where he popped off.
I think they saw her put a trap into the warded brush. They put a bunch of question mark pings down to where Peanut would be, and so they do back off, but that does mean that they can just roll this one into an Infernal Drake. In Kingzone, they'll be able to pick up the first Drake of the game.
Tarzan coming mid lane because Chovy is sitting on a lot of gold.
Got Gorilla here too. No ultimate right now for BDD. But ultimate for Tarzan, they want to get on in here, trying to burst him down. The exhaust comes down too. BDD in a lot of trouble, and they do take him out, and Gorilla now being flashed upon. Maybe a little bit too aggressive that time around, but he was burning, but he does survive.
It was so transparent from the side of Griffin. They had the Shen ult coming in. TP ward was great. Top side, Khan will live. No ignite from the Darius, of course. That's just the healing reduction. But in the mid lane, they should have been able to disengage. They still go fully in. Maybe that's just not engaging in 12 minutes as a Rakan. They go in to their death. They lose the mid lane turret. That's the sort of snowball you want with the Zoe.
Slav Sword exerting his dominance up on the top side.
He dodged the first. That's enough. They don't want to keep chasing. They see Shen coming in. You see a warning ping around the enemy red side jungle. All those line skill shots that usually Kingzone members are hitting one in a row are missing today, Valdez. The pressure is clearly on to Kingzone. I feel like Kingzone are into their own heads after losing game number one when it comes to just normal things you would expect these very mechanically talented players to excel on. Khan once again is going to try and chase down Sword.
Well, he hit the cleaver that time. He's going to hit a second one here, and the flash is down onto Sword. Can they burst him? The engage comes in, and Peanut will be able to pick off that kill finally. Good trade for flashes by Khan on the top side.
Too much playing with fire from the side of Griffin. Eventually Sword is going to punish. The backup there is going to be a lot more delayed because it's no Shen ultimate, so nice capitalization. Does it turn into an objective, though, is always your question when you're watching a professional game, and they will not start Rift Herald from it. They don't feel like they have enough map control. Some good items coming in to the side of Griffin. They now have 2 items and a bit onto Viper, who's going for the commitment build with the Spellbinder and Proto Belt boots 2. Predator as well. He's a very fast Vladimir.
Yeah, he just procs it here and then says, actually, never mind. Interesting decision.
The JK
Viper.
move.
It could have been some of those mind games you were talking about before, where it's like, actually, you don't know where my support is or if I'm going to engage on you. But
and he gets all the minions.
Yeah.
Nicely done.
Figures it out.
Looking at damage dealt, and this is just Ezreal things in the bot lane. A lot of poke, and Shen has basically no lane presence unless he hits a taunt, so that's why the numbers are so one-sided.
We've kind of just been chilling down here. A couple of engages back and forth, especially early on in the game. And speaking of which, they're trying to burst down the Vladimir before he can get out of this. Is able to Hemopleek into Pool. Peanut now going forward onto Lehens, but nobody will die in the end.
They're so good at repelling pressure and even get a cheeky redemption from the mid lane. Doesn't really top them up much, still early in the game. And Peanut really wants to start the siege here for Kingzone.
They've already chipped down onto this turret quite a bit. And you can see even BDD heading down here. They might be able to at least chunk it down quite a bit, but not enough to take it out.
And it's one of those things where we've seen the Shen from Lehens, and the biggest takeaway for me is how much longer they keep up the turret in bad Shen lanes compared to other teams, because usually you just roll over this Vladimir, who doesn't have the levels or items to be super online, and the Shen, who has almost no lane presence in, 7 to 10 minutes. It's 15 minutes in, and while they will lose the turret, Griffin know it, they're ahead of the play, and they're going to try to take a Rift Herald to answer.
Yeah, I mean, First Blood turret is already down in the mid lane as long as nobody dies down here from Griffin, which nobody does. It could be an even trade for them if they roll this Rift Herald into another turret.
It's one of those scenarios where Griffin says, hey, we're going to lose it inevitably, we'll buy as much time as possible. Seeing Kingzone walk up, I think they'll be too late. Do see them giving up on the hopes of taking the Rift Herald.
Yeah, picks that up, and that's a really nice trade for Griffin, you would have to say. We'll see what kind of objectives they can get for that. Let's take a look at the jungle proximity, though.
This is a really, really bad matchup for Trundle. He needs to be where Peanut isn't, or to be first to where Peanut is going. And he has been more often than not. Remember, got the double kill in top side, avoiding any sort of 1v1 skirmish against a Nidalee and making a positive impact as a champion who has situational engage at best is really, really tricky. This is about the best case scenario for the Trundle in particular.
He's feeling it. The 2 kills early on certainly help out with that. He's going to be going into a defensive build after Cinderhulk. No carry Trundle in this game. Doesn't matter how many kills you get. This is pro play.
The early double magic pen coming through from Chovy, who died. We didn't mention it, but that was his first death in competitive play, in the LCK at least, on the Zoe. Took 5 matches.
Now we get to see his ridiculous KDA.
That's true. It was undefined previously.
Yeah.
Just like his team's potential. Undefined.
We're still trying to figure it out. We're trying to define it before our very eyes. What exactly would a 2-0 mean against Kingzone? It is just 1 best of 3, but it is also 22 best of 3s in a row.
Could definitely be a 3-game series. We like this draft from Kingzone a lot more than game number 1. Mundo does a great job of corralling and anti-carrying the Zoe as the game goes on. Vladimir will do his best to hemo-plague Ezreal, but no reliability in that. Seeing Tarzan walk up as Peanut.
Well,
oh boy.
Did a little bit of a dance there. Up against the wall, gets hit by this now, has to leap over the edge.
Oh!
As will Gorilla.
I baited myself. I was like,
You're gonna
kill him! Unfortunately, it falls comically short. Whoops.
Yeah, I mean, you cast enough Zoe, you just expect things to happen sometimes.
If you told me a paddle star range, I'd just say yes. I'll bet, yeah, that sounds right.
Sure. Should hit. Seems likely. BDD not on this side of the hill and actually struggling to get into this fight, but the TP from behind Griffin, they're just going forward. They got Sword coming from the top lane. That's going to be 1, make it 2. BDD trying to carry by himself, but he just disappears.
Sword!
The dunk from Sword, he is going ham. That's going to be the triple kill. The bubble here onto Khan means that it should be an ace, and unbelievable. 18 minutes into the game, and Griffin are shutting it down already.
Holy crap, what an outplay. They just understand the team fights. We knew this guy's team fights were good, but that's in Challenger. That's what the asterisk is gone. All the asterisks for Griffin have to start rolling down. That's going to be a bot lane turret. That is a damn fed Darius, and that is a 5,500 gold lead.
This is just disgustingly one-sided again. BDD, another mistake, can't get over the wall on the blasting plant, and Griffin they know what to do in these team fights. They go forward away from the TP.
And the moment you see an Ezreal and melee range of a Darius, things have gone to hell in a handbag. The resets on the Darius, casual 1,000 damage. What's this? Q? He doesn't even get an auto in. He's like, I don't need autos. I got my dunks ready to go. Just watches the man who trash talked him over the wall saying, like, go to bed, my son. Go to bed.
Seriously, he must be having the time of his life right now. You could probably feel the adrenaline from here as well. There's a reason that Darius is getting picked a lot, especially into the Mundo matchup. Let's take a look at some of the damage. A lot of those were dunks here for Sword.
It's a lot of true damage coming through from the Darius. Oh boy, the Dunk Master skin ended up being a prophecy. We didn't think we could understand the lack of gravity on his basketball bounces. Some of these team fights also pretty death-defying on the Darius that so far has been a win lane, lose game kind of champion.
Yeah. Well, Sword gets the perfect TP by a ward that was probably placed there by one of the bot laners earlier on. He gets right into that back line. Peanut does, I think it was like 280 damage. Twitch chat's probably got me on that one, but he basically does nothing. He's in the back line, he throws a spear, misses, swipes away as Cougar form, and then he's like, well, my work here's done. I can't do anything else.
Thing is, you pick the Nidalee to be in 300 units of the Trundle at all moments and Battle Ward him. The Battle Ward term was created for Peanut's Nidalee. He was the one who enacted Buffless onto Flawless, one of the junglers that is now over in China, but was a jungler on Spenu in the LCK. Like, we know this guy's Nidalee was undefeated in a year. On the Rocks Tigers, he never lost on it. And now Tarzan just kind of ran rings around him. They were never actually near each other unless they were in a team fight or a skirmish that Griffin were already winning.
We're in a similar situation in game number 1. Let's see if Kingzone, well, a missed stun is not going to engage a fight. And even from then, you had Lahens that was ready to come in, and Tarzan from the jungle, who is also nearby. It feels, again, kind of hopeless for Kingzone. They're hopelessly behind with a jungle that can't do much from this position, as you touched on.
Ooh.
And now the Zoe has free reign. It feels a lot different from behead.
The Siege is obviously going to be very good for the Zoe. Happy to push up the Trundle Pillar to try to add extra terrain to push the Trouble Bubble through. Backs away. Not going to be an easy Siege game because Vladimir and friends would much rather prefer to team fight, but if you're corralling all of Kingzone under their inner turret, get your control wards down, and that's the next thing for Griffin. Back, get your control wards. Play a Baron game, because their Baron turn with Trouble Bubble into the Pillar can be pretty damn deadly if either Vladimir or Darius finds a flank.
If Griffin get another fight on their terms where nobody gets caught and everybody's on the same page, you guys better expect another ace, because that's what we have, basically. If the Darius can get into the backline with Hemo Plague onto everyone, it's like, well, you know, the Mundo's not going to be fed in time. You talked about Giant's Belt. Well, he's got one. He has that Sunfire, but still working on the next. Peanut's not tanky at all. He has Machine.
He will never get tanky, obviously. That's not Nidalee's role. But Nidalee's most effective time is behind him, and unless he can get a big fat stack of AP, then the heals are not going to be super relevant either. See what happens from here. There is double Trinity Force. It just feels like the item timings are so delayed. It's 2 and a bit items versus 1.5 on most people. And the Ezreal, Predator Vladimir, any sort of flank, and he's in trouble. Speaking of Predator Vladimir,
he's right there on your screen.
He's just dead.
You later,
Solar killed.
Just, well, he's going to use one more Q, and down he just go. Gorilla just leaves him. He's like, well, I can't get out of this. Chovy, looking for Peanut, is going to sail wide, but that's just an auto and an ignite, and that's all of Peanut's health. Gorilla just disappears, and, well, he's going to hit the Trouble Bubble, nearly hit Peanut, but they're looking now for the Mundo.
Why did he ignite?
He's just feeling it. You know, he's feeling the vibes. The spear hits. It doesn't matter.
Why did he ignite?
Oh, boy.
Uh-oh.
BDD, well, he can Q to this minion. Where else is he going to go? Stun is going to miss, and the Pillar's right on time. Flashing forward, and, well, BDD, not much where for you to go, and Sword just makes him disappear once again.
Looking like a Kongdu Monster game, but the team that you think's Kongdu Monster is actually the Challengers team that's looking to go 22-0.
Chovy's feeling it, man. You could tell. He wants another win on his Zoe, and I think he's going to have it. Oh, so close. Oh, okay. Peanut is going to flash away. Lahen says, no, you get back here. I want to give my guy another kill. And Zoe's looking for it. He gets it. Chovy will kill the Nidalee in the end, and they're just having fun. They're diving all the turrets. Have they gone too far is the question. Doesn't seem like it. The Sen ultimate comes in. Viper is going to be able to live here. He gets another Q off, and Brig is going to get stuck, and down he goes. Nobody will die, and Griffin is styling on him like they're BBQ, like it's nothing right now.
These super friends just can't die. They can't be slain. They can't go down. They have not lost in 2018, and yet they do it again. They were definitely asking to have a couple of kills go the way of Kingzone. It just can't happen. Their team fighting is ungodly.
They're diving 2 turrets, getting away with the kill for Chovy, and then nobody dies, and they add another kill. I mean, they're
just ridiculous.
They're so far ahead, it makes sense, but it's just the style and the confidence was with they do it. It's unbelievable.
They didn't need to do any of this. They were already super winning this game. They're not on a timer either. They'll feel good about where this game is going. And yet, why not just do it because you can? Why not just do it because you're that damn good at team fighting against Kingzone, who, if you remember, you used...
Piper.
Remember, you invoked the term BBQ, right? Do you remember those Kingzone games against BBQ at the end of last season where everyone was just styling?
Yeah, I mean, that's what I was talking about.
Now Kingzone is the BBQ.
Exactly. The tables have turned. It wasn't even just last season, even this split on Sunday, 2 days ago. It was looking similar, but I feel like Griffin has even taken it to the next level of styling.
What's the next level after the LCK? Where are we promoting this team to?
Is there a chance they make it to Worlds, Papa?
You know, it's definitely within the realm of expectation right now.
The hype levels are off the charts, right? This is a roller coaster that only goes into the sky and never comes back. You leave into space. Everybody's going to be talking about this on Twitter, on any social media platform, and
you know,
you can say that you were there, guys.
And I sat there in spring season with Achilles and talked about how everyone was there for the 94-minute game that would never be forgotten. We know that there's been the signs from Griffin, but this is the start of the hype train. This is the start of saying that you believe in this team, because a lot of people jumped on after a couple of match wins and people were right there to say, come on, guys, who have they beat? Now they are right knocking on the door of 2-0ing Kingzone DragonX, our back-to-back champions who are in form. Don't get us wrong, they are in form.
Yeah.
And in the manner that they've done it, if not now, then you're too late onto the hype train for the side of Griffin. You guys were there to watch, you know, one of the greatest stories in the history of League of Legends. I would say there's no greater story than 6 players, all of them competitive rookies at the highest scene, in 2018 LCK coming in and just running through the competition like they're nobody.
Running it through, right? And they have a lot of other opportunities to prove themselves, too. This was just the first one, right? They get into LCK, they make it through a bunch of the weaker teams, but then they go up against Kingzone. A lot of people were discounting them, even myself. I was predicting Kingzone to win this one. It's going to be paint all over my face after this one, and I'm totally fine with it, because it's hype as all hell, and, well, Kingzone, they're trying their best, and along my past point, like Griffin, they have Kingzone, and then they have KT and Afrika and Gen G. They have all these other super strong teams. And after tonight, I'm sure all the other teams are going to be shaking in their booties after this one.
Baron started up for the side of Griffin. Peanut, well, stealing a Baron would be a start. I don't know if it'll be enough, but it'll certainly be a start. 10,000 gold behind.
Yeah, you can tell he wants it so badly.
But Griffin have no incentive to finish the Baron. The only way they can even start stalling the game is to give up the Baron, so they'll pull away. I love stories like this. I love these sort of scenarios. Just like RNG winning MSI was a great story because Korean dominance was halted for, we don't know how long, we'll only know in the future, but at least halted. And then seeing a team come in and dominate the LCK from nowhere, and the what does it mean is a question we can't know the answer to, but we get to sit front row, Valdez, and find out. We'd love to know that a team can come into the LCK and win, because it just means that there's always opportunity around the corner. There's always top talent that isn't scouted by all these big name organizations with big support staff, with big scouting staff. Griffin have a coach. You know, Griffin have no title sponsor. Griffin is not Hanwha. It is not SKT. It is not KT. It is a new org who is trying to open and herald a new day in Korean League of Legends.
It's very inspiring for all the aspiring pro gamers who are out there trying to join a team. They watch this and they say, this is possible, right? I can actually get onto this stage. And it's not just one, it's the 6 that you mentioned coming in as a team, as brothers. They'll be being replaced along the way. No new talents, just these 6. And well, it's a story for the ages, for sure. And well, they're looking for Toby here. They're not going to get him.
Asmunder hit level 16. The answer is yes. So there is still the chance. He walks up to Zoe, and Zoe says, well, could you please move along? That's a pretty big thing for him.
Yeah, and you look at BDD, he has lost the reverse matchup for many different factors. He did go 1-for-1 in the beginning. It was kind of just the team losing around him as well. That gets him into this position, but in terms of items, right, he's super far behind. I feel like at this point, it's basically up to Khan and Prey to try to take this from behind, but even then it's going to be super hard.
Still, we've had a lot of time to kind of grandstand, soapbox, and discuss and ruminate. That's time that Kingzone has put into more items and levels, and that's time that Griffin haven't actually exploded their lead. They haven't broken the base. They're kind of waiting on the next Baron. They have a team fight comp. They have a lot of damage, clearly. I don't know about that Zhonya's timing by Peanut. Still enough to get out. There still is a really good comp on the side of Kingzone. There still is a late game dream. When this becomes 10,000 gold lead and an 80,000 to 70,000 gold game, this could definitely still go the way of Griffin. So we'll try not to spend it too early for the side of Griffin. They are in a fantastic spot. They certainly, if they get a team fight, will be able to end the game. But getting that team fight, as we can see, going to take a while.
They basically just have Zoe to do the poking. We talked about this before. They don't have the greatest seeds outside of the Zoe. It's part of the reason why they were diving the turrets before, even outside of the styling, because that's one of the ways that they can force Kingzone into actually getting a fight done. We take a look at the level 16 Mundo. Sword doesn't seem to care about that. Slowly pushing in that bottom side 1v1.
Khan's got some items down. He's got the Spirit Visage, he's got the Warmarks for a while, so he doesn't just get killed. So side lane is pretty even. They're not going to be able to take a turret in the 1v1 as Mundo's damage isn't ignorable.
Oh, they're looking for the flash taunt. They get onto Bray. He does live, though, in the back line. Trying to get that Hemo Blade down, and he will go down to Viper. They finally find the dive. The Trundle gets low. BDD not able to get him, and a double kill goes over to Viper. BDD now is on the run. Chovy looking to clean that up. Will just hop over the wall. Diddly-doo takes him out. See you later, Irelia. That's 3 kills for Griffin.
Khan on the chase, wants to kill Sword, get that Guardian Angel, get the Dars down, can't catch him. I just have to watch as finally we're going to see Griffin break the base. They're going to break the base in the mid lane. Break spawning. They don't need a Drake. They just want the win.
They get 3 kills. They didn't even need to get that Baron. They're just like, well, we can just push it on in. And will they go for it here? We still got 15 seconds on Prey, 30 on BDD. With the TP coming in, it looks like they want more.
For the end here at Griffin, Lehen's just zoning. Khan's still not there.
Hey, Gorilla comes in, but all he's got is CC. He's going to be pulled in, and he actually jumps away. He doesn't want to dive, and it looks like he will. The Nexus goes down, and Griffin 2-0s Kingzone. Unbelievably one-sided. How far will this team go? Today will be the first of their incredible hype train.
Rise of Griffin is something that is going to evolve into one of the best stories in the history of League of Legends. 6 rookies have completely unshackled themselves from the previous expectations of teams coming from Challenger and have now unshackled themselves from the oncoming pack. Kingzone DragonX moved to 4-2. Griffin is 6-0. And we talked about strength of schedule and how it was so unlucky that this team would have to face Kingzone DragonX, Afrika, KT, and Genji in a row. Who's stuck in the cage with who? Because now these teams have to deal with facing this team in the sort of form that they're in. And I don't think there's any team in the world that wants to meet Griffin right now.
Griffin is the Rorschach of LCK. He says, I'm not locked in here with you, you're locked in here with me. And that was certainly the case for Kingzone. Kind of, you can feel the burn on them right now. The 2 games weren't just slow macro games that eventually Griffin was able to eke out with good Baron plays. It was like 19-3 in kills in game 2 and like 21-4 in game 1. It was unbelievably one-sided, and that adds even more hype to the train.
Again, Chovy, the youngest player in League of Legends today, I believe, at 17 years old and 3 months. Not since some of the names he's beaten, like Faker and BDD back-to-back, have we seen a player that could make people retire, that could make people reevaluate whether they are good enough to succeed on the highest level. Sword was able to take over this game. Really good start from him. His teleport down bot lane was where you knew that Kingzone were basically done. And picking up a perfect ace against Kingzone in what was previously a pretty even game was kind of the end of the momentum from the side of Kingzone DragonX.
Down here.
They put down their big game, and there's not even cheese picks to point at or anything like that. This was just straight up standard from Griffin, and that makes it even more scary.
You just watch Sword in this fight. He dunks one, BDD comes in, he's like, nah, you're dunked even after you dash away. He flashes in, gets a 3rd dunk. He's wearing the Dunk Master Darius as well, so he's got the appropriate skin, and well, you said it before, it was unbelievably one-sided in the ace Not many teams can do that up against Kingzone, but Griffin made it look easy.
Teams have risen before. You think of Origin, you think of the Coup Tigers. They are not in the same category as Griffin. They both had, one team had Prey, a former LCK champion, Gorilla, the best support in the world, top 3 at the time for sure. And we had Origin with Peke, with Soaz, with so many legends. This team has no one with real experience at the highest level. They are all rookies to major regions, and that's what makes it even more insane. They have no MVPs. They're just all sharing the burden and rising to the occasion.
And the thing that I love the most about this team is that there's nobody really riding the bus. You know, nobody's in here and they're just like, oh, I'm just, you know, sitting behind and I'm having my team carry me. Lahens, he hits every single flash taunt. Every single one. Hey, he just doesn't miss. And then Viper, he's just styling on him with stopwatch. Obviously, it's super obvious for Zoe to get in there. Tarzan wins the early game. He's there on the counter gank. Just everybody is doing something big on this team.
And you even think of the other team they'll be compared to from a different era, SKT, T1K in 2013. They had Impact, who had played in the LCK previously. They had players with experience who may not have taken it to the next level, but have been around the scene. Such a different world now in 2018 with where the league is at. The timing at which 6 rookies can make an impact should have been a 5-year-old story. It should not be a current trend. But the current trend for Griffin is victory. They moved to 22-0 in 2018, and Kingzone didn't come anywhere close to beating them.
You take a look at the reverse mid lane matchup. Chovy wins the Irelia versus Zoe, and he wins the Zoe versus Irelia. Irelia, the lowest damage on her team underneath Rakan. That's where BDD was put in this game, and what Chovy was able to do. Let's take a look at the MVP here of game number 2. I've got an idea, and that's the idea. It's Sword comes in with the perfect TP, gets that ace rolling, gets the triple kill. We will be hearing from him as well. Big smile on his face, very well deserved.
I'm sure he'll be allowed to respond to the comments.
Oh, please.
But I don't think there's any need to trash talk. He doesn't need to have a big story because he did all the talking on the Rift, and that's what you can do when you're as good as Sword. Sword was just a tank role player in Challengers. Now he's a carry in his own right.
It's set up there. Who's the challenger now? Well, seems like it may not be Sword. I'm going to hand it over to Jisung for the translation of these two guys.
Interview translations, and today we have Chovy and Sword for the MVP interview. Congratulations on your win. Thank you. Very impressive performance on you guys. Especially your opponent was Kingzone today. Yeah, there was a lot of pressure. I was wondering if I underperform, I would be the reason for losing it. But, you know, Kingzone is a strong team, so I was very nervous throughout the game. And at the previous interview, you said, well, the mid Irelia in LCK is not really good, but you said that you want to try it in your own way. So how was your mid Irelia play? I think it went really well, especially against Zoe. Well, first, Zoe cannot solo kill Irelia, so I was really feeling comfortable. Sword, what about you? I think Chovy is really cute. So, we have a question over here. Because Khan, you know, you are Khan's best friend. And you said that you hope to see Kingzone as the first opponent in LCK. Is that true? I personally, well, Khan is a very strong in laning phase, and he's a really strong top laner. So I just wanted to see how high I can reach up to. So yeah, Khan will be the first opponent for me to face to test me. And overall, I think I did really well. So, you guys have been performing really well, but by defeating Kingzone DragonX today, everyone has been thinking that, oh, Griffin is a really strong team. So how would you like to rate your own play? I think 6 out of 10 because I kind of missed my skill shots. And also Khan did really well in the laning phase. So I kind of lost against him. But top lane is not about one-on-one. You know, you have to have good synergy with your jungler. So my jungler really helped me a lot. So yeah, I had good synergy with him overall. Sounds like 6 out of 6 on your side. So there's a picture of you, Sword. So moving on to game 1, we are really curious about the team fights in the whole game. The first one was that the whole members were able to survive out of the team fight at your blue buff. Well, all the calls were like a spur of the moment. We were really lucky to survive out of that. And I don't really remember the exact moment you mentioned, so let's check out the clips. So what was going on over there? So we kind of made instinct shot calls to make a way out of there. So we said that we're coming for the backup. So we knew that we were able to the whole 5 squads were able to survive out of there. Then who's the most decisive person in the team fights? Well, Lihan said he's gonna take the aggro so you can all survive. So all the players born in 2001 are performing so well in LCK, and you are part of them. So what are your comments about your own performance? Yeah, I think I'm really in a really good mood. Well, I'm the youngest player in the league and I'm also the rookie here, so I got a lot of buff. And also your teammates and CV Max, your head coach, is watching you doing the interview. Then moving on to game 2. Well, the last team fight. Well, this time also, all the 5 members had a very intense team fight near the enemy red buff, but you all managed to survive. Do you remember that? I exactly remember that. I landed a great skill combo with my E and W, so yeah, I was really lucky. So the fight got bigger here. What was going on over there? We were about to take down Peanut, but it took a little bit longer than we thought. But you know, we had great shot calls, so we were able to all survive. You know, Griffin is so good at team fights, so we were really able to fight back and also run out of really safely.
여기서 다시 공격으로 전환하는 것도 정말 대단합니다만 이 상황에서 도대체 무슨 콜이 난 거예요? 뭐 어떤 거가 나왔길래?
What kind of shot calls do you guys mainly do in that team fight?
정확한 콜은 없었고 왜냐하면
There were no actually specific calls.
근데 다들 상황
We're just doing it instinctively.
된다 안 된다 된다 안 된다 이 핑퐁이 좋아가지고.
So we're really good at taking aggros and switching turns. Yeah, I think that's the reason why we're so strong in the team fight.
크나크게 서로 뭐 콜을 많이 하진 않고 서로의 그 판단을 믿는다는 얘기 좀 들었거든요.
So I guess your teammates are really about having faith in each other. Yeah, we have been practicing a lot together. So we actually don't make any specific calls. Because CV Max, his intention of a team is like team without any calls. Because if you're connected so well, we don't even need to talk with each other. We can just see and read each other's mind. So even though we don't share talk with each other, we can just read our own minds. Then what do you think CV Max is got his own mind right now? Well, I don't actually know.
제가 그 얘기 들었거든요. 경기에는 뭐 나무랄 데 없지만 옛날 인터뷰
And we heard that
그 시미메스 감독은 굉장히 그 뭐랄까
your head coach CV Max, he's always watching you down here doing the interview.
해줬어요? 이야기를?
인터뷰하고 나서
Well, every after interviews,
이야기하는 거 딱히
he doesn't really make specific comments.
괜찮대요?
인터뷰에 대한 언급을
He doesn't really mention about our interviews.
그러면 일단은 감독님 모시고 얘기를 나눠볼까? 저기 하이파이브 하고 계시는데.
Then let's
김대호 감독님.
kind of bring him up here
감독님.
and share a talk with CV Max here.
지금 연습도 만들었나 한번 오시죠 이쪽. 네, 일단 부르시죠. 네, 의자와 더불어서 이쪽으로 좀 하시고 이쪽 올라오세요. 네, 올라오세요.
Take a seat over here.
네, 앉으시죠. 네. 사실은 그래요.
So
왜 이렇게 초조해요, 갑자기?
you seem quite nervous.
부탁드릴게요. 네.
그 상황을 인지를 못했어요.
Well, I actually didn't know this happening, so I'm kind of surprised.
당연히 그럴 수 있어요. 사실 오늘 지금까지만 연승을 찍어내면서 가장
So Griffin is stacking up your victories.
사실 연승 중에도 한번 여쭤보고 싶었는데
Defeating down Kingzone must be really meaningful for you.
이 정도는 되면 이제 어느 정도 포부도 편하게 밝힐 수 있을
So
것
this
같고
kind of score does prove that Griffin is a strong team in LCK.
어떻습니까? 지금 이 정도의 연승에
So how do you feel?
2018년 들어서 한 번도 안 졌는데.
저는 항상 제 기대치는 많이 높아서
I always have high expectations of myself, so I expected this to happen. I knew that we were gonna have this consecutive wins.
그런 느낌인데. 어때요 지금 상황은?
저희는 항상 굶주려 있어요. 왜냐면
We're always hungry.
전략적인 건 다 전부 다 일각이에요, 빙산에.
I mean, we haven't shown all of our strategy to the fans.
라인전을 절제했다가 잘하는 모습도 보여주고.
Sometimes we have to show great performance in the laning phase, and we're gonna come up with better compositions.
좀 더 집중해가지고.
So we're gonna make sure to show better results and performance throughout the summer splits.
느낄 수 있게 집중해서 잘 해보겠습니다.
We want to show the style of Griffin to all the LCK fans.
밴픽 할때 굉장히 다채롭고 현란하고 매 세트마다
We have to say that Griffin always come up with very creative draft and compositions.
제시를 하는 건지 아니면 선수들
So,
입장에서
are you in the lead of coming up with the composition, or does the players also come up with some idea?
노출 때문에 전부 깔끔하게 오픈할 수는 없지만
Well, I can't really tell because it's too close to our strategy, but
특별하게 하고 있어요.
regarding to the pick and bans, we are kind of trying some different style compared to other teams.
서로 맡은 부분이 있고 거기서 주고
Well, the players have their own roles, and I also play a certain role,
다양하게 뱀픽
so we can end up coming up with different ideas.
네네 어떤 얘기하겠어요? 네.
네. 그래서 뱀픽은
So about the pick and bans,
제가 다 같이 하는 겁니다.
we all just contribute a lot.
일단 서로간의 상황을 한번 놓고 나서 서로 간에 뭐 토론하는 굉장히 어떻게 보면은
So I guess there's a lot of conversation going around the pick and bans in Griffin.
그래서 나온 질문이에요 사실은 이 질문 중에 하나가
So
최근에 솔랭 전적에 악한
there's a question from the fan saying that there's a record Viper playing AD carry Rakan in solo queue.
오늘도 뭐
So are you guys trying to bring that up in competitive games?
가능성에 대해서 궁금해하시는 분들이 굉장히 많거든요. 선수 인터뷰를 보면은 뭐가 나와도 이상하지 않다는 얘기를
I
하고
mean,
있으니까
it's never strange to see different champions in Griffin's composition.
되게 계획적이면서도 즉흥적이에요. 그러니까
We are planned, and at the same time, we're really very instinctive.
두개 다 들어갈 수 있는 상황이 많잖아요.
I know it's not very compatible,
앞으로도 기대해 주시면.
but so yeah, we're still trying to show different styles of Griffin. You know, playing with fun is the most important thing, so we'll be looking for more support from our fans.
뭐 이쯤 되니까 이제 약점 하나밖에 안 남았네요. 유연성이 없던데 요가학원 화면 보니까
So the last question.
유연성이 좀 떨어지는 것 같은데 유연성 좀
So
올라왔습니까?
are you guys still having the yoga class? I'm still working on it.
나중에 화면을 통해서 한번 보시면 알겠지만 요가 학원에서 가장 힘들어하는 것 같아가지고 그래서 좀 말씀 좀 전해드렸습니다. 다음 경기가 이제 또
So your next opponent will be KT Roaster.
다양한 컬러감을 가지고 있는 팀들을 좀 만나고 있습니다.
You guys are starting to face different strong team in LCK,
어떻게 6카라고 이제 붙게 됩니다.
and you have to face Yukal in mid lane.
굉장히 많은 분들께서 좀 기대를 하고 있거든요. 어떻습니까?
Are you ready for that?
시점.
저는 육갈 선수하고 붙잖아요.
네.
Well, I'll be facing Yukal there. I'm sure that I won't lose.
동년배니까 아무래도 더
You guys are
신경 쓸 수밖에
friends,
없잖아요.
right?
그것들이 머릿속에 좀 있는 거예요? 아니면 뭐 연습 상황이 좀
So-
있었을 것 같아요? 육할 선수하고.
Have you experienced him in practice games?
인식은 되는 것 같아요.
Yeah, I mean, we are both born in 2001. So I'm kind of aware of that. And at the same time, so do you have any specific plans to face Yukal?
네.
Yes.
제가 반반 가면은 유칼 선수보다 할 수 있는 게 더 많을 것 같아요.
Well, I think I have more to play in mid lane compared to Yukal.
연습에서 나온 얘기니까 충분히 잘 전해드렸고 이제 소드 선수도 사실
The sword.
좀 전해주시죠. 소드 선수도 마찬가지인 것 같아요. 어떻게 보면은 지금 대단하다고 평가받고 있는 LCK의 특히 최근에
You have already took down Khan, one of the strongest top laner in LCK, but next turn is Smab. Are you ready?
당연히 칸 선수처럼 기대가 되고요. 오늘
Well, I'm expecting a lot, just like I did today. Well, you know, last time he said, Khan told me to wash my neck and wait. So I washed it 3 times, but nothing really happened today. So I'm here always with my neck clean, so I'm just waiting other top laners to take me down.
야, 소드. 칸과 소드는 친합니다. 친합니다. 그냥 친하기 때문에 되게 편하게 또 얘기를 해줬던 것 같아요.
So I hope there will be just one top laner to take my neck down, to check my limits in LCK, but so far no one has actually took me down here. I'll be waiting for someone to cut me down. So the breaking news says Sword does not feel his limit in LCK currently. So lastly, as a head coach of Griffin, there are a lot of fans, especially increasing fans out here. So is there any last message for them?
자주 하는 말인데
I always say this.
가장 풍부하고 계속 발전하는
We have the most imaginations and we're the most creative team in LCK, and we're always keep improving.
이런 팀이에요. 그러니까
So this is the kind of team we are, so keep watching for us. Thank you. So Griffin stacking up their victories. We had interview with Sword, Chovy, and CV Max from Griffin, and I will pass it back to our casters. Thank you.
Well, to say summer is heating up is an understatement, as the trash talk makes its way back on. He says, I'll always come with my neck clean. We'll see if anyone can take my neck down, as Sword has fully embraced it. He looks unstoppable in the top lane. We'll have to see if anyone can take him down.
And I just wish we could fast forward, Valdez. I need to know what this moment means, because it could mean everything and it could mean nothing. But right now it seems like Griffin are on a different level to the competition they have faced. And one match ago, that meant something but not everything. But when it includes Kingzone, it means a lot. If I'm watching a TV show that's gone many seasons, sometimes I watch the early part and I'm like, I'm really attached to this character. I need to know how it turns out. I need to know if they actually survive the whole season. Now I'm thinking about that in terms of future seasons, future months. As Griffin only have one more match before they go on a very extended break. They will not be at Rift Rivals. They'll be waiting. But Katie Rolster is looking like definitely a pretty straightforward opposition for them.
It definitely feels like Longju from 2017 summer, where they come in, they're doing so well with BDD coming in and the changes to the lineup, and then they're not at Rift Rivals, right? Everybody would love to have Griffin there. Certainly they are currently at least top 4, I'd say, after the performance tonight. Again, we need a little bit more data, a little bit more information, right? Beat another couple of teams and see if they can keep this going to really say that they have the consistency to be one of the best, if not the best, in LCK.
They have internal consistency, though. Their performance hasn't really wavered. They weren't fantastic in their first LCK series against Hanwha. They did drop a game against BBQ, but largely internal consistency. They're very inventive. They have big champion pools. I'm not willing to fully shackle myself. I think you need to be hyped about these guys. If you like Korean League of Legends, you should want to watch every Griffin match. And while we don't know how it ends, and SK Telecom T1K didn't win in their first season in the LCK, they're winning a lot of hearts along the way, that's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, you said it, right? You got to get on the boat or the bus or the train or whatever vehicle before it starts going off, before they disappear. And, well, this train has already taken off, it feels. The Griffin plane has taken off the runway, and, well, that was about as hype a series as you could get. We were talking about, hey, if Kingzone wins, that's expected, right? They're the strongest here, one of the strongest, you know, reigning champions, and then they get crushed 0-2. Chovy's popping off like a beast, Sword's popping off. Everybody is playing so mechanically well. And I love the bit about how they were like, we just feel each other. It's like telepathy. We don't have to really, you know, have these shot calling because we just know each other so well.
It's amazing.